You know, it's interesting. I kind of moved from working as a news parodist, and I loved that on The Daily Show, to doing a lot of talking head stuff that much of which I'd like to think was a little bit on the edge. I loved being paired with Larry King during the 2004 conventions. I mean, I felt like we were some, 21st century vaudeville team or something. It was, and but the two shows that I love doing right now are CBS Sunday Morning. I adore it. It's everybody's parents' favorite show, and Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. CBS Sunday is one of is I think is a beautifully produced show, but it's the first time that I'm actually doing stories and reporting stories. I do commentary for them, but also reporting stories where I'm not parodying something, and it's a very new experience for me, and it's tricky, but it's also really, really exciting because I certainly don't want to become what I've spent years making fun of, and that's not going to happen on a show like CBS Sunday Morning, which is just a very good show. The reporters are amazing, and but it's an interesting challenge doing stories that finding humor in stories without relying on making fun of the conventions of news coverage. So, sort of the unctuous nod that I would use in, on The Daily Show to make fun of a reporter, I wouldn't call that a crutch, but it's certainly really handy and people get it immediately. But doing a piece for Sunday Morning, I'm not going to rely on that, and I shouldn't. My task there is to draw out the ironies and the absurdity of a particular story without making fun of the conventions of news coverage. And that's, it's tricky, and it's kind of, sometimes I don't know, wait a minute, should I be doing something funny right now? And it's been a really, really interesting challenge to just kind of let a story tell itself. I did a story on the diner circuit in New Hampshire. It's a story that's told all the time, that politicians live in these diners in New Hampshire. And I mean, you'd think it's a law to eat breakfast in diners in New Hampshire, like that people don't have kitchens at home or something, because everybody seems to be in diners. But there's a whole ritual of how to work a diner that a politician uses. It's working the counter is different than working a booth. Going up to a diner, just a precise chew point so that you're not getting them while their mouth is stuffed. So I worked with a Mitt Romney consultant, a guy who understood how almost lunatic all of this was, except that it wasn't lunatic, that all this stuff matters in politics. It was a great kind of a story, and it was just my task to draw him out and have fun with him. The story itself is what was funny. I feel kind of naked at points, a little bit exposed, like, oh my goodness, the story here is what's funny, and this is not, in my making a funny face or doing an unctuous nod would be stepping on the story right now. So the challenge becomes sort of kind of directing the interviewee to be him or herself and tell the story that we think is a funny story, and allow ourselves also to be surprised at the same time, since we're not trying to pre-script these people. But it becomes as much about staying out of the way as inserting oneself. I wanted to do something new without doing something old, without just simply becoming a reporter, as respectable as that is, and I really do believe that, that's not, I still want to be funny. So how to be funny, how do you report on a story, legitimately report on a story, and be funny, but not step on the funny story? How do you report? Basically, the challenge has become, how do you tell a funny story without being pushy and stepping on the story by being funny in the middle of it? And it's a whole new and exciting challenge for me. And at a show like Sunday Morning, it's really the only place that I can do that. I absolutely, I'm very self-aware of slipping into becoming what I made fun of. And you know, the what it's come down to is after generally kind of deciding what's funny about a situation, then my task becomes engage as much with the person. I mean, really listen and allow myself to be surprised. So the story may turn out differently than I thought it was going to be. And that's a lot harder than I thought it was. I always thought that what we had to do as reporters on The Daily Show was strikingly and eerily similar to what beat reporters, especially for the cable news nets, did, which is that we went in with an agenda and a comedy show. So we had an idea of a pretty strong idea oftentimes, a strong idea usually about what was going to be funny about this, and would push that. And I think, sadly, that happens to a lot of reporters. You know, they don't allow themselves to be surprised by what the actual story might be. So they go in there with, okay, this is going to be our bad guy, this is going to be our good guy, and go in and get that story. And that was strikingly and eerily similar to what we would do as reporters on The Daily Show. You know, here's this guy that maybe lives in a cave with 98 cats. So here's what's going to be funny about it, and make sure we get these bites, which is totally legitimate for a comedy show. But now that now that I can't do that and shouldn't do that on a show like Sunday Morning, I have a lot of respect for the reporters who really get in there, you know, and really listen and really engage, and then allow a story to unfold and allow their preconceptions to be demolished if that happens.